Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and just like Charlie Sheen, we can sum up tonight's episode with one word: winning. Because we're going to have Eric Belcher, the head coach of Greyhound women's soccer, whose team ended up with a win. We're going to have Sia Poyer, the head coach of Greyhound volleyball, whose team ended up with 2 wins. All finished up with a winning themed overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound basketball, both men and women, will open up their seasons this weekend with 2 games in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Greyhound cross country finished up their season last weekend with a conference meet. The Greyhound ladies finished 13th, and Marta Pascoa finished 13th as an individual. And Greyhound football, in one for the ages, won the wagon wheel game in the last 14 seconds in dramatic fashion. It warms my heart just to say that. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear the set and we'll bring in Eric Belcher right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of Sportslook the head coach of Greyhound women's soccer, Coach Eric Belcher. And Coach, it doesn't seem possible to me that a whole season has gone by. It seems like just 2 or 3 weeks ago we had you on, but you played a whole season and a pretty successful one.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's good to be back on set with everybody. Yeah, the season definitely flew by. I feel like it just got here 3 weeks ago. But it's only been 4 months, but it does not feel like it. Tough conference, tough games, tough schedule.
Well, obviously, there are things that you think you know when you take the job, and some of those turn out to be absolutely true. And sometimes, like, did not see that coming. So, what was kind of your aha moment?
The big thing for me was the travel. Obviously, you always have away games, but here, every away game is 6 to 7 hours for the most part. So it's an overnight trip. I think my body realizes it's old. Sitting on a bus every other day, just driving 6 to 7 hours, time changing. That was probably the biggest thing for me here was just the distance for the travel.
For some programs, you have an assistant or a grad student or some person in athletics that does the travel arrangements. I imagine you probably had to do all that yourself.
Yeah, so we do have a person that helps out. Mike helps out with that, but in terms of everything else to get the travel going, that comes down to me. Like buying the food for the bus, making sure the rooms are set, making sure the bus driver has a location, and just things like that. Where we're going to eat on the way. They love to know that before we go. And I'm kind of the surprise guy. I'm like, we'll see where we're at in the road, and then we'll kind of decide. But yeah, a lot of strenuous work to get things going. But we do appreciate Mike for at least booking them for us, and we took care of the rest.
I meant to ask you, is this kind of a reward situation, or if they play well, they get a certain restaurant, or you try and keep it consistent, win or lose?
Yeah, for us, just depends on where we're at and what town we're in. I think on the way there, I always like to kind of get like a little mom and pop shop and make sure we kind of help those communities out with our big bill, obviously. And then depending on what time the game is, it's either pizza or Chipotle was always a good one. Sometimes things just aren't open. So I kind of want to make sure the girls can get into the shower quick enough. And pizza seems to be the go-to, unfortunately. But that was one of our thoughts. You know, if we win this game, our last away game, maybe we stop somewhere nice. And then trainer's like, it's going to be too late. Nothing's going to be open. And I'm like, you're right. So pizza it is. But they do well and they enjoy where we do stop. We have had some fun places along the way where they can actually get an extreme amount of food. I think after one game, I think we're in Dallas maybe, we stopped at a Chinese buffet. Some folks were like, it's Chinese food. And then you walk in and they're like, oh my gosh, this is more than just Chinese food. So just kind of all depends. Next year when I get a good grip on things, we'll kind of secretly get some good places.
And in terms of hotels, I've never asked a coach this. This is a first here on Sportslook, but do you let the players choose who they want to room with, or do you assign roommates?
For me, it's kind of one of those things where every trip we have a different way to figure out rooms. So one trip we'll pull names out of a hat. Next trip, I'll go to our team app, and the way it's lined up, that's who it is. And then some days we'll let them, hey, pick three people, and they don't know what they're picking it for, and then those three are your roommates. So we like to keep it, switched up. That way, you're not always with the same group, and you kind of get to learn more people. But obviously, with COVID going on, our first trip was tough with that. We had a girl get it from another girl, and it's like, man, I wish you two were roommates at home, and then we wouldn't have to quarantine you. But yeah, sometimes we let them pick, but otherwise, luck of the draw. I remember sitting in Chipotle, pick a number out of a hat. Okay, okay, one. Why do I have one? Why do I have three? Oh, I think we're roommates. Yes. So it just kind of all depends for us, and I think it keeps us in good spirits and a good vibe for the team all around. So
Well, we've talked a little bit about the pregame and the postgame, and let's talk about the matches
yeah.
themselves. Obviously, a tough, tough, tough conference, but you had some significant accomplishments.
Yeah, some good results for the girls. They went into things understanding who they are, and what they had to accomplish. And for them, it was easy every day. I mean, no pressure on you, right? Like last year you finished last place, and this year nobody's really expecting much for you. And the girls themselves knew that wasn't the case. So a lot of games we went into with just a lot of fight, a lot of heart, and we came out on the other end of it. I always refer back to Texas women. We haven't beaten them since 2017. Haven't beaten them in Denton since 2014. And I tell some of the girls that day when we got off the bus, and I was looking at kind of the other team, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna win." And our girls came in with the right attitude as always, and go figure, we win. So a good year for them. I think they just understood the assignment for the most part, and I guess teams weren't really expecting us to produce what we did. So enjoyable and tough, but I think we put some people on notice going into next year.
Well, and if people didn't have a chance to watch you this year, we actually had a crew out and filming, and
Yeah.
we've got highlights of your last match against UT Tyler. So let's cue up the highlight reel and walk us through it, if you would, please.
Yeah. So big match for us, senior day, obviously. And at home, and midday, good weather, a little windy, but you got to expect that in Portales, New Mexico. But our girls enjoyed a lot of energy in this game, and they executed very well. I will say for the seniors, you couldn't have asked for a better day for them. I think each one of them played at probably 200% this day. A lot of adrenaline, um, a lot of heart, and for them, this was it. So, when you come into the doghouse facing those kind of kids, it's going to be tough. And I think here we're getting ready to run across our first goal where just tons of pressure, forced them into a mistake, and we capitalize off it. The cool part about this is it just happened to be a senior that scores on senior day. Her first goal of the year comes on senior day, and happens to be the winner. And she took it well. I don't think they were ready for that. A deep shot, and then obviously that Portales win. Take that right into the net for you. Yeah, good luck picking that up. But very excited for her. Very excited for that situation. Um, and then here we go into the end of the game, and you can just see, emotions very high. We kind of know it's a wrap. You kind of look at our girls, they know, get rid of it. It's done. 2-1. And the goal scorer, you'll see her, right? Just full of emotion, over it, So very proud of them on that day. And I think for our program, they set us up in a good way going forward. Just, winning your last game of the season as a senior, and accomplishing something that they haven't really done in a while. UT last year beat us, so this was huge for them. And going into next year, I think that's going to be a tough game for us. But you couldn't ask for a better day.
Well, Coach, you did graduate five seniors, if I remember correctly. Uh,
Uh,
so,
yes.
so what are you looking for? What's the one position you're absolutely going to have to go out and
Oh,
fill?
for us, our big thing this year was scoring goals. We struggled with that, but our great stat is if we score first, we win. So this year we did score, I think, 7 goals, and we ended up winning 5 and tying 2. So good for us in that stat, but we need goals. So as we get into our recruiting cycle, we are looking for forwards that can, put the ball in the net like that. And then, obviously a little bit further back, getting into the midfield, we need people that are going to assist. I think we ended up with 5 on the year, which is nowhere near enough to be successful as we want to be. Great defensive effort from us all year, so I think we're doing well there. Obviously, we want to get a few more pieces in case of injuries. And one of the biggest things we had this year was a great goalie. So I've told folks, as we look for another goalie, it's very hard to find someone that stacks up to her standard. So that'll be a tough position for us going forward, but we're happy with what we have there. But overall, we got to get more goals. So that's the direction we're heading.
Coach, obviously, you came into a situation where you inherited a schedule that was already in
Yeah.
place. Now that you're going to be able to design your own schedule, what changes do you see you would like to make?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking forward to not having a bunch of road games back to back to back to back to back. I think 6 out of our first 9 were on the road, and again, on the road here is 2 days. I think that wore on our girls. It did help create a good bond for us, but when it comes to academics and just rest, it's tough to do that when you're always on a bus, you're always in a hotel room, you're always in other locker rooms. So going forward next year, we want to kind of balance our home and away schedule in the beginning of the year to kind of keep us a little fresh and make sure our academics are in the right order.
Some coaches like to use the off season to recruit, to recuperate. Some coaches like to do camps, clinics of that nature. If you
Yeah.
had to say right now which one you're going to
Um,
lean towards,
Yeah, so we've already started our recruiting. We've had a lot of interest in our program. Just from our social media, we get your girls like having so much fun, and you guys are doing great things. We want to be a part of that. So recruiting has started. As far as camps, we are looking at trying to get a spring ID camp in the works. Obviously, we need to work with the rest of our athletic department. We want to make sure that our field is available and the rest of our resources are available to bring folks in to do that. So spring is something we're looking forward to, and then obviously summer we want to kind of get 2 youth camps going. One early and then one late where we can bring our girls in and work with the kids as well. But the big thing for us is making sure all our resources are available and we don't kind of not take notice to other teams that obviously use our facilities.
well, Coach, congratulations on the success you had in your first year, and let's hope that this time next year we can talk about the Greyhound
Yeah,
ladies making it to the LSC playoffs.
yeah, appreciate it, and that's the goal.
No, no pun intended.
Yeah,
Nicely
yeah,
done. I
yeah,
saw where you were going with
yeah.
that. Well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll go to the set and we'll bring in Sia Poyer from Greyhound Volleyball right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of Sportslook the head man of Greyhound Volleyball, Sia Poyer. And Coach, I got to get me one of those shirts.
I have tons of them. I'll give you one for free.
Okay, okay, all right. I'll give you
Yeah,
one of mine. We can have a pair swap here.
not a problem.
Well, we really appreciate you taking time to be our guest. We would hope in a more perfect world that you'd be playing Lone Star Conference postseason this week, but you definitely ended up the season on a really positive note.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we ended up beating Lubbock Christian and, of course, Rushing New Mexico, our last home game, and also senior day. So it was nice. I know we didn't make the tournament, but like I told our girls today when we had our team meeting, I'm very, very proud of them. We had some, just, my eye test as a head coach checked off a lot of boxes. I know that sounds kind of corny in a sense, but like we have a good team, like you and I talked about a little while ago. I mean, we just unfortunate that we had certain injuries to certain key players at just at the wrong time. I mean, we finished off. We just needed to win 2 more conference games. We would have gone like after it was all said and done, and the teams that are in. I mean, the eighth seed is Angelo, and we beat them. We swept them at their place. Um, but very very proud of our players, of our seniors for the season.
And if people have forgotten, you got off to an amazingly fast start
Yeah,
and you finished up on a really positive note. And if it hadn't been for a couple of injuries, you
right.
might have kept that momentum all season long.
Yeah, yeah, and like this conference is so competitive, so good. Like there's certain matches where you're like, even as a coach, as good as we were playing, you look at how good West Texas is, how good International is, how good Tyler is, and even Kingsville started playing well at the. We beat them at the beginning at the crossover tournament. Then we went to their place, and they swept us, and I mean, just you okay, all right, it's going to be hard for us to win that game. So you have to, be strategic about your approach to when you're playing your conference opponents, and again, unfortunately, and not that I'm making excuses, maybe I am a little bit, we just we don't have a lot of depth. So when we lost certain starters, that was huge for us to make up, especially on the road.
I know when I talked to you earlier in the season, you were exceptionally pleased with your setting
Yeah.
and your defense. And it really seemed like that carried you all season
Yeah,
long.
yeah, and our defense was huge, and I didn't really know this. I knew we were close as far as like statistics were concerned, and like I always compare a lot of my teams to the 2016 team. We just had our Hall of Honors induction not too long ago with Lauren Fry getting inducted, and that was that team during her senior year, and that was a talented team, that was a good team. So that's always like okay, I compare. So we played such great defense this year that we actually broke a lot of our records. Like we broke a dig record from that the 2016 held for, since their season. And then also blocking, which, a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are short. And the D2, I mean, yes, it'll be nice to be 6 feet and taller, but we're talented, and just within the conference, we were ranked either in the top 5 or the top 8 of so many categories, especially defensively. So very, very proud of our girls.
And coach, we don't just have to talk about it. We actually have visual proof because
Hey,
our crew was up filming
yes,
on
sir.
Friday at the Rock,
At the
and
Rock.
long story
Yes.
there. But at any rate, so we'll say this is a home match. This doesn't
Yes.
look like Greyhound Arena. So we'll cue up the highlight reel and
Yeah.
please walk
And,
us through it.
very appreciative to Clovis High School for helping us out. So
Absolutely.
all right. So this is I'm glad she's returning, Michaela Garvin. Fortunately she got blocked there, but she's such a good all-around player. Great pickup from our freshman setter, Kayla, young lady in the white T-shirt. That's our libero, who's made a huge difference in improving our defense. And then, as I mentioned earlier about our blocking, that was a nice block there by Jordan and Michaela. There's two young ladies there, seniors, three. G in the front row at middle. And of course, Audrey, that's at center back right now. Another senior right there, Kiki with the set. And Callie, number 8 there on one of our opposites who's coming back. So
She had a
very happy.
monster match.
Yes, she did. And not just a monster match, but for her, I mean, she finally stepped up to the level of play that we've been hoping for. So she's very, very talented young lady. Let's see, Kiki, Sapina there with the serve. Senior setter, and Kiki with the dig. Betsy with the set. So many great rallies in this
Yes.
match. And of
Yep.
course, like I mentioned earlier about Callie Nelson, number 8 with the kill. Michaela with the kill from the left side. And see Michaela and Audrey with the block. I mean, Audrey number 7 there. I mean, she's gonna miss her. I mean, I'm gonna miss all my seniors, but she does it all. Another reason why we broke the record for digs is when she's in the back row, especially Audrey and Hetzi, our libero. That was Graceland G with the kill. That slide has been awesome for us this year. I mean, our win against Lubbock Christian on Wednesday night, they couldn't stop um, G. I mean, she had 22 kills and hit. Yeah, what her hitting percentage was. It was pretty high. See Michaela again with a kill from the left side, and let's see another dig from Kiki, and see Audrey with the roll shot over another dig from Kiki. Just lots of like just rallies like that. There was even one where I think Callie kicked the ball or
Yep,
dug with her foot.
which is legal.
Yes, it's legal. And of course, as a coach, I'm going crazy because why are you using your foot? This is not soccer. Not against soccer. But the crowd's going crazy because they love that stuff, you know. But we came out with the win, so that was nice.
And of course, it is a pleasure for all of us to watch the highlight of Kiki because she used to be part of
Yes.
our Sportslook crew, so one of our
Yes.
very own. And Michaela also a broadcast
Yes.
journalism, so maybe someday she'll be a part of the
Yeah,
Sportslook
yeah,
crew.
yeah.
But
Kiki's gonna do a good job
oh, she'll
with
she'll be
broadcasting.
on some big sports networks.
Yeah, she
She's
has
got
at the very least the personality for it. So
exactly. Well, Coach, obviously we do say goodbye to a number of very talented seniors, but good news is it's not an empty cupboard that's going to be confronting you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're returning our three setters. You know, who's in volleyball. They're like the quarterback of the team. You know, Jay, who got hurt early on, but she's really our most talented setter coming back. She was one of our more talented setters this year, but she had a shoulder issue. And of course, Kayla, our freshman, got some very, very valuable experience in Puka, our other setters. We had three really good setters coming back, and that's huge. Callie and Michaela, our two opposites, are coming back. Our Hetzi, our libero, she's a transfer, but so she'll be a senior next year. Our biggest losses are our two middles, you know, with G and Audrey, but we've already gotten that taken care of, at least for now, or at least, I mean, we've got some good kids coming in, and yes, they're young, but it'll take them a while to get to that point. But um, and of course, losing Kiki, but like I said earlier, we have three setters coming back that have gotten good experience this year, so we should be okay.
I actually had the privilege of broadcasting three of your matches
Yeah.
for the Lone Star Conference Network. I got a chance to watch like maybe a set because you were quite often playing on a night when I had a night class, but I'd be able to watch the set. So I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll be curious to see whether I'm on the same
Uh-oh.
wavelength.
Uh-oh.
So, what was the best match that you played this year? It could even have been a
Oh
match that you
man.
lost, but you played really well against a really good team. So,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, Lubbock Christian, because Lubbock Christian's so good. I mean, they're a talented team, and that's another team that you're looking at them, and you're like, man, they should be in the tournament. And I wanted to say this, like this year was the first time that the conference has taken just eight. It's always been 12, and of course, if they've taken the top 12, we would have gone. But I'd say Angelo, just because beating them at Angelo and then sweeping them um, was awesome, and that's like just talking about our seniors again. That's the first time they've beaten Angelo at Angelo. I mean, them in West Texas, they're up there, and of course other teams, but just since I've been back in 2013, I mean, Angelo, it's either Angelo or WT. So that was nice. It was almost to the point where I was feeling sorry for them, but I'm like, okay, I got over it in like 2 seconds. So, but I would say Angelo.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I love a Christian would be a close second,
Right.
but beating Angelo at Angelo and
Yes.
sweeping that had to have
Yes,
been
sir.
sweet. So, Coach, what's in the off season for Greyhound volleyball?
Recruiting never stops. The I guess one good thing about not making it to the tournament is we get to go to the New Mexico high school tournament this weekend, which is they're always the same weekend. Recruiting, and then just get ready. I mean, we actually go Monday through Friday this time, and I was talking to our new players about that because during the season you never practice as long as because of our travel schedule. We're happy just to get 2 days of quality practices because we're we're usually leaving Thursday, so that leaves you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to practice. And when you have a Wednesday night match like we've had this year, it's just Monday, and then Tuesday you can't go as hard because you got to save your energy for Wednesday. So just, get stronger, jump higher, all the conditioning that we do during the spring and more community service and then just get ready for next season. Losing 5 seniors is not just uh, the talent level on the floor, but just that leadership. You can't, like, at least for me, I mean, team chemistry is so, so important. And that's something that you can't just flip on the light switch or hand a manual to our kids like, hey, this is how you become a leader. I mean, you've got to go through those experiences together as a team, and hopefully your younger kids are paying attention. So when it's their turn, they'll know what to do.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the success that you had this year, and let's hope this time next year we're talking about LSC playoffs.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. A little bit of personal history. My favorite basketball player growing up was Elgin Baylor, the great player for the Los Angeles Lakers, who played for 14 years and was 12 times an All-Pro. And I was sad this week, 51 years ago, when 9 games into the season, Elgin Baylor announced his retirement. And then the Los Angeles Lakers promptly decided to win 33 straight games and wind up winning a championship, which they had never been able to do with Elgin Baylor. So sometimes you win by subtraction. Well, that has been an overtime, and that will be the final part of our broadcast for this particular episode of Sportslook. I would like to thank my guest, Eric Belcher, the head coach of Greyhound Women's Soccer. I'd like to thank Sia Poyer, the head coach of Greyhound Volleyball. Had a floor crew once again directed by Mr. Logan. So, for those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.